3, 2, 1. There we go. We're back. Splitting Atoms is back with my man Jack Zampolin. How are you, Jack?
I'm stoked for Cosmoverse. It's like right around the corner, starting to make final preparations. Everyone's ready to go.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, man. It's we touched down here 4 days ago, just running around everywhere. I mean, the city is giant. We also, we always jokingly say, like, if IBC was a city, it would be Istanbul, because Istanbul is the only place on earth that connects 2 continents.
Oh yeah,
Asia and Europe. So it's a good place, and obviously with all the inflation, economic uncertainties they went through over the past years, like crypto adoption is at its highest compared to other countries in the world. That's why people are forced to get into crypto, and that's why we do Cosmoverse here this year, which we consider a big opportunity. So yeah, and it's all coming together nicely. So that's good. Yeah, we see Lee in the house, Strangelove as well. Strangelove left. The Chinese crew is watching. Ni hao, Nisha Zhongguoran, Mayo. Actually, do you know that? Like, I studied Chinese actually.
I did not know that. Well, hearing you
Really?
say that, it's I know ni hao, and then all of the other stuff I don't.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. No, I used to live there for like 2 years and actually studied Mandarin.
Yeah.
So at the peak, I was like in Shanghai walking through, looking for apartments, and like I was able to negotiate, how big are the bathrooms, negotiating rent, all of that stuff. But I can also 你会说中文话, 中国话. I can, like, that's the max I can still do, but besides that, I'm out. Anyways, we have a lot to talk. It's been a long time. A lot has happened.
Noble, IBC stuff. There's all kinds of stuff. Where do we want to go first?
I honestly think people are mostly excited about, when USDC launches on Noble, and then when Noble launches on the Cosmos Hub. So I think we keep that to the end, towards the end, But what if we start with the IBC roadmap? I think that's actually one of the most important things. So yeah, maybe you can give a recap, Strangelove's role, and also maybe for the non-Cosmos audience, like, how is IBC development done, and like what's your part there?
Well, that's a great prompt. So there's a number of core teams for IBC that are funded by the ICF, which is the foundation for Cosmos. Strangelove is one of those. There is the team at the ICF that maintains the IBC Go repo, and then the informal team maintains the Rust bindings. Strangelove is kind of unique in that we work across all layers of the stack. We maintain a relayer. We support projects building on top of the Rust bindings. We do quite a lot of work on the Go bindings themselves. But you can think of Strangelove as kind of the go-to-market team for IBC. And that includes a lot of highly technical work, doing integrations with other ecosystems, doing integrations for folks like Wormhole and Hyperlane to help them be more IBC native and enter Cosmos, and helping drive direction of the IBC protocol through adoption and usage. We pioneered packet forward middleware and middlewares in general to help bring better user experiences to IBC, and we're seeing that with things like TFM, IBC.fun, Squid. We work with all of those projects to help them integrate. So yeah, we do quite a bit of stuff with IBC. And this roadmap that we've released is looking ahead into 2024 and thinking, where does IBC need to go in order for it to be the sort of basis of this blockchain internet that we're building here, and allow chains from all over the broader space, stuff like Avalanche and Near and Ethereum and all of the Ethereum rollups to use IBC. And I think that, we don't, because IBC has sort of faded into the background for user experiences the way it should, we in Cosmos don't really think enough about how pioneering and ahead of its time IBC actually is. We, in doing work with these other interoperability protocols like Hyperlane, and Wormhole and Axelar, we're doing an Axelar integration for Sommelier to help manage some sellers on a number of other chains. And doing all of that work, it's, most of those protocols don't natively have timeouts. They don't natively have bidirectional communication. So there's no acknowledgments that come back once your transaction gets completed on the other side. And there's a bunch of other like niceties for a communication protocol that are lacking from a lot of IBC's competition. Also, we have natively much higher security in IBC with the Tendermint light client and the light client based approach we've gone with so far. So I think that there's a number of directions we need to move in as IBC. One, helping some of these other protocols like Hyperlane and Wormhole and some of these other cross-chain protocols by building wrappers around them that enable developers to use them like they would use IBC, but use Wormhole for the authentication method. I think that this is something that would allow IBC as a developer experience to reach a lot more users. And then we can come in and build out these light client security features at a later date. And yeah, then there's a bunch of stuff in the roadmap around developer experience and what we at Strength are doing to help enable that. So yeah, we tried to put together a full view of all of the things that are going on in IBC, where we exist competitively within the broader ecosystem, and sort of what needs to be done to help move the protocol forward.
Yeah, and it's cool because I know the first time we got in touch was like late 2020, I think.
Yeah.
December or something.
Yeah.
Which is before IBC went live. And I remember the very first conversations we had, like off camera. I mean, I hadn't had a big following yet, and, was just very, very new to Cosmos. And we were talking about like interoperability, and you were saying like with the launch of IBC, the Cosmos white paper is complete. And like that was something that always stuck with me, is like, what do you mean it's complete? Like no cryptocurrency ever even comes close to like finalizing their white paper, right? So fast forward to today, it's like over 2 years, IBC has been in production. It's connecting, you already like give a brief recap here in that article that I'm sharing, or in the roadmap blog post, basically.
It's a blog post. Yeah. The official roadmap with a lot more deliverables on it. Like we're working on that right now with other teams, but yeah.
But yeah, here it says like, almost 100 Cosmos chains. So I think the question here is now, looking back over the past 2 years, years and a half, we had a lot of bridge exploits. We did a lot of content also here, live streams, with Susanna, with the IBC team at the ICF, and Informal about, how secure IBC really is. Now in hindsight, like what are some of the key takeaways for you as a core IBC engineer? What could have been done better from the start, if there's anything, and what are some of the big learnings you had?
That's a great question. I don't think that, oh man. I think big learnings, we made a big bet that we could ship without relayer incentives, and that we would be able to scale the network. I think that was an incredibly smart decision. Obviously, this is my decision, so I think it's a little smart. But if you look at all these other interoperability protocols, a lot of them have spent a ton of time trying to figure out this relayer incentives problem. And fundamentally, it's expensive and somebody's got to pay for it. And there's really no getting around that. And trying to build it into the protocol optimizes for one way you think the world might work, and it ends up not working that way. And if you see folks like Layer 0 and Hyperlane, they're trying to build in protocol revenue via the relaying service and keeping that tight. So, that is one way to do it. The way that we've done it in Cosmos is make it so anyone can run it and figure out how the incentives work on their own. And practically, my thesis was validators run on many different chains. they're going to be natural relayers because they benefit when the economies of those chains grow. And if you can connect the economies together, that's how you get them to grow. And practically, that's what's ended up happening. We as a IBC collective spend a lot of time building relayer incentives. And now the core team is working on protocol to upgrade channels to use relayer incentives, but there's still no wallet support. There's no adoption for protocols because the existing system works okay. I think that, moving forward, a market for relayer services on chain is probably going to be the next move in relayer incentives, where a project can say, hey, I need 2 or 3 relayers on this set of channels between these 2 chains. Here's the amount of money we're going to put up to do it. And it slowly gets paid out to relayers who complete and provide that quality of service. I think the Skip folks are working on this, and this is something that we've been looking at for a while too. But I think that that's one of the big learnings, is that relayer incentives are a hard problem, and the way that we've punted on them has enabled a market to form around relayer services, which is great.
Do you think?
Yeah.
Just to jump in here real quick, because do you think that there's a business opportunity for the Cosmos Hub, in fact, or is it too late?
I mean, the thing that I've always thought that the Cosmos Hub should put on the hub is chain naming service. And I think that as IBC grows more and more, this becomes a more and more important thing. There's an increasing set of applications that rely on this thing called the chain registry, which is right now on GitHub. I just posted it in the chat, so if folks want to go take a peek. And what this is all of the computer readable information about every chain connected to the IBC network. How do I go build the binary? Where is the GitHub repository? What kind of coin type? What kind of address type do you use? Where are some RPC servers I can use if I want to join the peer-to-peer network? Information like that that's required as an operator when you're running IBC, or you're a protocol selling services on top of IBC. You need to understand where the tokens are coming from, what they're called, and which channels are most used. This is a very similar need to DNS, because if you have a network like IBC where any 2 peers can connect, you can't really know what the network looks like or where all the peers are on the network unless you crawl it. And even if you crawl it, there might be some disconnected subsets, or you might have missed some nodes in that network. So you need some kind of service discovery is what this problem is called in computer science. You need some kind of service discovery layer. So I think the Cosmos Hub would do great with a chain naming service. We've had a couple of different specs that different folks at Strangelove have built over the years. That's work we've always wanted to do. Yeah, I think that that's probably the biggest business opportunity for the hub.
And going back to IBC, so you mentioned the relayer fee market kind of thing. That's probably something that will be figured out. And I think another new, or maybe a new direction for IBC is also for it to branch out into other ecosystems. You mentioned Avalanche earlier. What are you guys precisely doing there? I know there's a couple of teams also working, bringing IBC to Ethereum or enabling some sort of compatibility there.
Help those.
Composable did it with Polkadot, right? I think I also heard Near is in the works. Maybe talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I think if you look at the roadmaps that are coming out of the different IBC teams right now, you've got Informal proposing atomic IBC. The Polymer team also proposing something similar, which is pushing IBC down into the Tendermint layer and removing it from the app layer. That is a direction where IBC grows inwards. And we only use IBC in the atom economic zone. This is the vision of IBC as a sort of permission protocol that requires some kind of economic relationship with the Cosmos Hub. And that's one direction to go. The vision of IBC that is outlined in the Cosmos white paper and is the one I think most folks in Cosmos are here for, and is the way that we've built IBC for a very long time, is the one that we're espousing. And that's an IBC that goes everywhere and helps provide a common language that all of these different blockchains can speak. And honestly, everyone else is trying the walled garden closed permission system thing, and nobody else is working in the open permission system space. And as I mentioned earlier in the call, IBC itself is still light years ahead of all of these other communication protocols. So if we can get the developer semantics onto as many chains as possible and really connect all of these disparate places, I think that, you know, that's where the most benefit for the Atom economic zone is, not trying to build our own walled garden. And this is the choice that we're going to need to make as IBC. And the current road mapping cycle that we're doing with the ICF is going to fund some of that work. You know, what you see is our vision of where IBC should go. And now we need to go find some funding to go do a lot of that, because that work, frankly, doesn't really pay great. So, you know, yeah, I think it's critical that we expand IBC to as many places as possible. It's the key differentiator for Cosmos, and it's what makes this stack special and different from other ones.
What is currently the closest competitor to IBC?
I think that when you look at competitors, they each have caveats. There is no one saying, like, we're going to connect all the chains in as permissionless a way as possible. There's people who are LARPing that. Look at Layer 0. They effectively have a 2 of 2 multisig where they control both of the keys, and they're providing authentication to move data back and forth. That's a great protocol. That's an interesting thing. But it's fundamentally a multi-sig. So there's this whole like world of multi-sig bridges, and I think IBC can compete in that. We have the solo client natively, and I think that important work over the next year, I think we call this out of the roadmap, is to build the ability to use IBC as a multi-sig protocol and just use the transport semantics over top of it and authenticate data with a multi-sig. This brings IBC to more developers and helps like win that protocol war. Layer 0 is sort of on the less secure side. And then I would say that there's this whole family of interoperability protocols that would be kind of committee based. And I see Mark here calling out Chainlink CCIP. CCIP, fundamentally, there's a validator set or a larger group of multi-sig signers or some other committee of users that authenticates messages moving cross-chain. Wormhole works this way. Axelar works this way. Chainlink CCIP works this way. So those protocols introduce a blockchain or a set of signers as the intermediaries, and they take fees for doing this. It's a great business. I think of these things as routers. If IBC is like the internet, then these committees are like routers that help route data around the internet. But no one's really competing at this fully permissionless level that allows any two state machines that implement the protocol to speak to each other. And I think that like that continues, that is expensive and hard to build. There's no way to build in monetization directly there, but that's the differentiator for the protocol, and it will allow us to do all kinds of things. And I think that's the way that we win. So yeah.
No, I think that's very helpful, because I think sometimes people see a tweet, you know, of some other IBC competitor, and then they get confused and like, oh my God, they're gonna kill IBC now. And also, you know, Polkadot's XCM. I think we talked about this even like 2 years ago. I actually have a video coming up.
XCM is another committee-based solution. You're using the Polkadot Relay Chain committee to sign messages moving between Polkadot chains.
And actually I have a video coming up tomorrow where we also compare some of the stats between XCM and IBC, if there was any connection to it. So watch that video if you're interested in that.
Yeah.
And also big revamp for the tokenomics, not only Atom, but also DOT. Like we did a lot of research on that. So that will come in tomorrow's video. But since this show is called Splitting Atom, and we want to talk a little bit about the Cosmos Hub and Noble, I don't know if you're like...
Just real quick to wrap this conversation up, there's two comments that I'd like to get to here.
Okay.
Mr. S first, and then Mark's second comment.
Are you mean the... Okay.
If IBC eventually connected all crypto blockchains, it'd be worth everything to crypto and nothing specifically to the Cosmos Hub. Trying to monetize it would slow down adoption. So there's one part I want to disagree with here. Nothing specifically to the Cosmos Hub. The Cosmos Hub originated this protocol. We have the people within the community who understand it best. And we have the best chance as the Cosmos Hub community in the Atom economic zone of monetizing this network as we bootstrap it. So trying to monetize it would slow down adoption. I agree. And there's ways that we shouldn't monetize it, but we should figure out how to sell services on top of this communication protocol, like routing, like any number of other things. Chain naming service is another one, to help bring revenue to the hub as a result of the growth of IBC. And as IBC grows, it brings more people into Cosmos, which is good for the hub. So I do think that even though the work is open source and we shouldn't monetize it directly in that layer, it's really important. And then Mark, my point is I want IBC on Ethereum, like composable, and to work with teams like composable. I like the composable team. We've worked with the composable team for years. There's 3 teams working to bring IBC to Ethereum right now: Composable, Polymer, and Union. Union is a bunch of ex-composable engineers who I know and respect. We also invest in them. So I also want IBC on Ethereum, and it's coming sooner than you think. So yeah. So great. Cito, now to your comments about the Atom economic zone. Let's chat about that. Sorry, thank you for letting me wrap that up.
Yeah, no, that's good. And I think, the people that are like really asking these questions are like genuinely, in the community and generally interested in that. So I think that's good. And that's why also we're doing this live, right? To be able to engage. But yeah, I know also, the tokenomics revamp for Atom is a big thing that people are now anticipating. Inflation is too high. Atom keeps going down. We lose rankings. So I'm just curious, like, what are your thoughts generally? I don't know if you're actually involved in any of these discussions, to be honest. So what's your general view on, Atom tokenomics?
I am not terribly involved in these discussions. After the Atom 2.0 thing, like I've really stepped back from hub governance. It's not, yeah. I see people trying things. I'm supportive of it. Yeah. I like what the Stride team is talking about right now. As far as Atom tokenomics goes, the contribution that I've made most recently is Prop 72, where as a part of Prop 72, we ensured value alignment with Neutron and brought in tens of millions of dollars of Neutron tokens into the Atom community pool. And the only thing I hear people talking about with Prop 72 is fair blocks, or no, not fair blocks, or there's other things that people are talking about with Prop 72, but they're ignoring the key point, which is that for a small amount of money, we returned a very large amount of money. So doing my part to help Atom tokenomics.
There we go. Galatasaray CA is stunning your face. He's a body language expert, and he thinks your outlook is neutral for Atom. Is that right?
I would say that that's fair. Yeah.
Okay. There's also Sysline here. When we see Atom 2.0 fully be incorporated, there were interesting propositions grouped together and didn't pass because they were grouped, but being worked on in the Ethereum ecosystem right now.
Yeah, I mean, there's a number of people have made the joke that the best way to make money with Cosmos ideas is to do it in Ethereum. Yeah, I mean, hub governance basically said a big FU to progress. And what's happened since then is some people have pushed forward some parts of the proposal and other key parts that are needed, because Atom 2.0 was designed to work together and create these like value flows that are repeatable and sustainable. And what we're seeing right now is people implementing ad hoc different pieces of these value flows, and the timing on those is different. We'll see if those changes take effect. I think that, it's broadly positive having Neutron here, having a major application on top of the Cosmos Hub that promises to bring in a lot of value in users that we're aligned with from a tokenomics perspective because of Prop 72.
Yeah.
Like that, we'll see. Also see liquid staking finally coming. I don't know why that took so long. As well as any number of other things. When will we see Atom 2.0 be fully incorporated? I have no idea. I see a lot of teams working on different pieces of it, and it seems to be going well, but it's happening slowly.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of things are coming together. Obviously, I'm very, closely following the tokenomics discussions, with the AADAO team, but also with all the teams that got awarded the grant. The David Effort Capital is really, really investing a lot of, like, all his time and energy, I think, is going into this right now.
Yeah.
And he has a lot of great ideas. I also know the Stride team. And I think the fact that the AZ is coming together now means also like all these core teams of all AZ chains are now also kind of invested in Atom, right? And in the success of the Cosmos Hub. So I think there's now this alignment between very, very strong development teams, which I think is a important new era for the Cosmos Hub to remain relevant.
Great. Yep.
Right. And honestly, like, I mean, it sounds like sometimes, like when I talk to people, it's like, okay, we have a lot of problems in Cosmos for sure, governance, drama, not ideal, value accruals, tokenomics. But then I look into other crypto ecosystems and I figure out, like, it's the same shit happening everywhere, right? Like
everywhere.
One thing is the economics, figuring that out. Another thing is also the whole bear market. The past 2 years in crypto have been absolutely brutal. And it's also emotions coming in. It's people just losing money. There's no way to have a proper sustainable business anymore. So how much would you say is the ratio here, like between Cosmos specific problems and general market sentiment?
I think that general market sentiment is kind of like the water we swim in. Sometimes that water is warmer or colder, and it causes people to do different things. Right now, the water sucks. It's bad, and everyone's frustrated. So I think it, as a community, points us towards the things that we're not doing right. Now, broadly in crypto, there are no users right now. Like, people are not using this stuff that we build. And that is a crypto problem that the Ethereum folks have, that we have as well. But I think when we talk about that, we should also recognize that we've built a strong, sustainable, and sticky user base here in Cosmos that is actually larger than the user bases on all of these other Altel ones, except Solana. I think Solana has also kind of built their own user base too. But what is important to remember is that those user numbers are way down. And even during the bull cycle, there were way more people outside of crypto than there are inside of crypto. And with user numbers way down, this problem is exacerbated even more. So I think that you need to look at user and usage data from protocols right now with a really critical eye. And like, one way that this is sort of manifested for me recently is looking at what's the conversation around optimism and then base. People were saying, and for a long time, about a month ago is probably when this ended, optimism was where all of the users were. And people were like, oh, look at all this usage over on optimism. Like, that's the only thing going on. But as soon as Base launched, Base had 10x the number of users in no time. And like we can argue as to whether or not that's sticky, but then suddenly base is now all anyone wants to talk about. Cool. Neither of those conversations are useful. What that tells me is there's a lot of people outside of crypto. And if you have something compelling to bring them in, they'll come check it out. And I think that what we need to focus on in Cosmos is building these compelling user experiences so that when the market turns around and retail comes back in, we have something to offer them. And with things like Levana, osmosis, concentrated liquidity, Neutron, a lot of these new applications launching in Cosmos, combined with the better productionization of IBC, better routing and user experiences in IBC, we offer a very compelling alternative to this EVM-dominated world. I will also mention that because we don't write in Solidity, we have a much better security record because we write in a language that doesn't require bugs, basically. So, that combined with the real decentralization that we have in Cosmos that does not exist in the Ethereum world, which is important to protect against regulations, like I think we're in a very good spot here in Cosmos relative to a lot of other ecosystems. And I think that this is what's getting missed in a lot of the discourse. Are the issues that people are pointing out real problems? Yeah, they are. The current political climate sucks. I think that what we're seeing with the Atom Economic Zone is positive, forward-thinking folks within the community trying to move things forward. And that's great. And that's what we need to be doing.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot also going on behind the scenes, right? Because obviously on Twitter, like if you only get information from Twitter, which I know most people actually do, like you have the perception that like things are broken in Cosmos, right? But let's, if I put on my Cosmos organizer hat on right now, the amount of support and, conversations we are having with different teams and then how they take action, connect with other teams, have synergies, right? Do things on their own. That's a whole different world, right? Than what you would think if you only get information from Twitter.
Yeah.
So there is still, and like DYDX, for example, is a great example, right? DYDX, everybody thinks, oh, they're trying to distance themselves from Cosmos because Antonio made this tweet a couple of months ago. But man, they are one of the largest supporters for Cosmoverse. Both the foundation and trading are sponsors at Cosmoverse. We just had a webinar last night with Doruk, educating 25 Turkish students from different universities. They are so amazing to work with. They're so amazing supporters of what we do. And like that shows me like there's still a lot of alignment and collaboration behind the scenes that's not necessarily visible on Twitter.
No.
So,
well, what I think, like, this is where the bear market is silencing the positive narratives. People don't want to hear slow traction. They want moon today. And what we have is a shitload of slow traction and teams continuing to build, pushing through. I was not a business owner in the last bear market. I'm a business owner in this bear market. It's real shitty. It sucks. It's really not great right now. And the fact that there's more and more people coming in, like we're still growing dev usage and everyone's still sticking around and still working with each other, unbelievably positive. And this doesn't even mention like the incredible software that's getting shipped right now. Like one of the pieces of feedback we got on the IBC roadmap is like, wow, Strangelove does a lot of stuff. And it's like, yeah, that's all we do. We're quiet, we ship, we just make code. And that's just happening in the background. And that's the story in Cosmos right now that people should be paying attention to.
What do you think is going to have the biggest impact for Cosmos, like positive impact for Cosmos this year? And I'm just going to list a few things. We have USDT native issuance on Kava chain since a few weeks. USDC via Noble coming up, and we'll talk about this. We have native Bitcoin coming through Nomic. We got Babylon launching, the liquid staking module on the Cosmos Hub. DYDX, Celestia, mainnet launches. MetaMask snaps. there's so much. Like what, or one of these or anything else, what do you think is going to have the biggest impact for Cosmos this year?
I don't think it's one thing. I think it's all of it. You know, this is, I'm going to use like a building analogy. If you build a building and there's a narrow base and you have a lot of stuff up top, it's really easy for it to fall over. And I think that that's the way a lot of blockchain protocols built. They built this outward facing community that was highly focused on price, along with applications built to cater to the moment. What we have built is a thick trunk. We built the developer community. We built a strong community of committed believers that have helped push this thing forward over and over again, and have figured out a way around the lack of centralized funding and coordination. And that bubbles up snaps from Leap and DYDX coming over to Cosmos and Celestia and Barachain and Saga and all of these other protocols that are launching, each with their own communities and stuff. And that is a very, very solid base. So I don't think it's going to be one thing that's going to make the difference. It's going to be the sum of all of the work that's been done across the stack that's going to continue to draw people in and provide a compelling alternative to the Ethereum user experience once retail enters again.
Very well said, Mr. S.
Like, all of those things that you mentioned, fucking critical.
Yeah, man, it's wild times. And like, honestly, I mean, when I started with the channel, like I went on interviewing everybody, and then it got to a point where I lost overview of projects launching. Now I lost overview of products launching, right? And you mentioned Levana earlier. Like I made a tutorial about them a couple of weeks ago. They already have now 2,500 users or something like that. I can't keep up like doing tutorials, not even like airdrop tutorials. Like it's all like exploding, right? And we're in a bear market. So yeah, it's definitely, I feel like Cosmos season, like we always, try to get this meme into existence. But I honestly think Cosmos season is just always. Like it's just always a little bit of Cosmos season.
Yeah, it is.
That makes it so sustainable and like, sticky.
This is the culture you've helped build, Cito. There's always something going on. We're always trying to stay focused on the future, the positive, and ship. And like, that's what builds that really thick trunk that helps sustain us through these droughts, these dry periods that are really hard. And it is the focus on the end game, the focus on building software for users, the focus on bringing folks in continually, no matter what the market conditions are, that continues to drive this thing forward.
Now let's talk about Noble, because I also saw you made a tweet recently where you said AEZ migration soon or something.
Absolutely.
Like that. Yeah. So I think Circle also announced now publicly, we're very close. This month of September, USDC is going to launch on Noble. What are the plans for migrating into an Atom zone, as I like to call it?
Yeah, very soon. So we have some engineering work that we've been doing that's been our focus to help enable DYDX launch, and it's also something that Circle needs from us too. That's been tying up the team recently, and we should have something to announce about that at Cosmoverse, which we're really excited about. After that, the engineering team will be able to focus on the AEZ migration, and we will be a consumer chain on the Cosmos Hub. We're very excited about that and really excited to join the family there.
So that's still going to go down this year?
Should. Yeah.
Okay.
But again, like I don't want to commit to a particular date because a lot of it is engineering prioritization. And, it's just going to depend on when we can get that work done.
Is there any roadblocks or any bottlenecks on the Cosmos Hub, like shared security side?
No, the Stride team did an amazing job of building out tooling to help an existing chain migrate. So they've also reached out and offered help, and we will lean on them. Having somebody who's done it before is really, really nice. I've done a lot of things where we're the first people doing something, and you have to like figure out how to build the rails while you're driving the train. And this one is particularly nice in that it's already been done. There's a bunch of code and there's people with experience doing it, and they're all rallying around to come help out. So I'm really excited for that, and to engage more deeply with like the crypto crew team and the Haifa team that are helping chains migrate, and we're stoked about that.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, I mean, I think we could keep on talking a long time about the Cosmos Hub and Atom, and I think there's currently a lot of like mixed feelings about, you know, Atom as a coin. We lost a lot of rankings. I think now on CoinGecko it's ranked 30, so people are kind of like starting to, you know, lose faith. But I don't know, like in the longer run, like where do you stand? Like, do you think for the Cosmos Hub that, you know, this shared security idea is like the killer feature, or do you think it should evolve? Like, where do you see other opportunities for the hub to remain relevant, or where the hub should go in the longer run?
Yeah, you know, I think that I talked about it earlier. Chain naming service, IBC services, like shared security is one service, but there's a lot of competition for that. A. B, the existing implementation of shared security is very heavyweight and requires a lot of the validators. When I see things like mesh security, that's the hub as the center of this mesh is a lot more promising. Also, when I see folks talking about osmosis in the hub joining forces, I think that's another incredible thing that I'd love to see. I think that we have a very conservative roadmap for the Cosmos Hub right now, where what's needed is a bit more daring and forward-looking. And that would be bringing into production a lot of the Atom 2.0 ideas sooner, and also looking beyond Atom 2.0, you know, chain naming services in Atom 2.0. So like a lot of these ideas are in there. Yeah, we need to move forward a little bit more aggressively towards this interchain future. And really, you know, even in the comments here, I see a lot of people very who want to just like bake in value captured IBC and make it like every other bridge. And I think even the people who don't want to do that don't really fully understand the implications of a permissionless communication protocol and what that means for the blockchain network. All of our competitors are copying the Atom 2.0 roadmap and trying to build a walled garden.
Yeah. Yeah, I just saw.
Like, I think that the way that we beat that is we bridge all of those walled gardens and provide the Istanbul, the meeting place for all of these different trade routes. And we build this Atom economic zone. And like that fundamentally is a hard mental shift for folks. And I think that that is the biggest challenge for the Atom token distribution moving forward is, do we give in to fear and be more conservative and to try to build this walled garden? Or do we open up to the implications of what we've built? And do we look outwards into the rest of the world in the crypto community and see how we can offer them something unique? And I think that that is the bull case for the hub.
As an interchain service provider in the Cosmos, I think that's also the tagline that actually I wrote to Billy like around a year and a half ago or something.
Oh yeah,
I'm still there, so I'm very proud of that. To be honest,
I see Billy still around sometimes. Billy and I have DM'd a bit lately. I would love to see him. Is he going to be a Cosmo first? Do you know?
I actually don't know. I have to. It's good that you say that. I have to text him.
Yeah,
he might just have bought a ticket and like, you know, just shows up.
That's Billy's move. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I think he's had a good time surfing this last year. I'm stoked for him.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, he deserves it to like take it a little bit more chill. But yeah, finally before I let you go, also Sommelier has been doing very well through this bear market.
Crushing.
Killed it. It's actually also been in my, you know, I made a video like 5 undervalued Cosmos gems, and like, of course, you know, Sommelier has to be in there. So what is going on?
What is going
why is
on?
it so
So yeah,
successful?
this is a great question. I'm going to post the chart that you should take a peek at. It is the DeFi Llama Sommelier TVL chart, and it is up only. What's going on? Took us a long time to build the pipeline to launch productive strategies, but we built it. And turns out we found some very smart folks to help build trading strategies. And the machinery works great and enables decentralized execution and all this other fun stuff that we set out to build so long ago. And that combined with the hard work that Josh and Zachy and team have been putting in to go find folks and get them to actually deposit, doing the hard user adoption work of like literally calling people with a bunch of Ethereum, like texting and calling people with a bunch of Ethereum, explaining to them one-on-one the benefits of real yield ETH, which is like much better returns, and getting them to deposit, it's paying fruit. And what you're seeing is accelerating adoption of the Sommelier strategies, us launching more and more strategies, and that continuing to move forward. I, for one, am super stoked about it. It's one of the first things I check every morning when I go in. And because my role has mainly been technical at Som, I have now kind of turned into the #1 cheerleader. So like I'm in all the channels, like let's go, posting the Jack raising the roof emoji and all that stuff. It's just, I could not be more excited for what's going on there. The team is fantastic, and good to see them getting more recognition for the work that they're doing. Growing TVL in this market, I don't have to tell you, is very, very hard. And that chart shows a proof of work that is unparalleled within the ecosystem, I think.
It is, yeah. I mean, it's 32.16 million according to DeFi Llama right now for a chain fully
we hit
diluted.
32?
32, yeah.
Holy shit. There's another 500,000 that just came in.
Yeah, just a casual 500 Gs.
Oh, I think that was is Bitcoin at these days like 25? Yeah, that's what it was. Somebody just put another 20 Bitcoin into the real yield Bitcoin strategy.
Nice.
Which is huge.
And that are fully diluted of like 72 million for the Som token market cap itself. I think there's a huge imbalance. Obviously, this is my personal opinion, but yeah, I mean, those are the things. Like in a bear market, like, you know, obviously people that are around now, they understand that, but most people have probably already left and they miss out on these opportunities because, you know, this is what you have to look at. Like, where are the builders? Where's activity, innovation? Where's growth? And the prices are like going to adjust sooner or later. I mean, you know, it's just the natural cycle of crypto. But yeah, this is a very, very cool to see. Another thing that was cool to see.
He's an animal. He's just like,
yeah, we have to bring him back on as well. Like we used to do this with Zaki, and even I was just thinking, you know, we had episodes with Shane, with Sisla, with Greg Azuri.
Like, at Cosmoverse. I'm guessing you're doing live stuff there, right?
I mean, I'm gonna be running around, making sure, you know, food is there, the screen's working.
The host with the most.
All the cables are plugged in, you know. Jack is where he should be, on stage or on a panel or running around here. Bam, bam. He's not chilling in the room, you know. I gotta do that stuff. So I don't know.
Yeah, I totally get that. For those who don't know, Cito is the host with the most. He does an amazing job at that. So, well, maybe the rest of the Cito crew can do some live stuff. You can get him or something.
Yeah, we have to see. Obviously, with customers, we do a lot of content. You know, we have a full on, like this year we have 3 media rooms. We also have like a lot of, you know, built in, you know, these media backdrops with the cameras, and, you know, Cointelegraph is going to be there. They're going to have one most likely. So there's going to be a lot of content from customers. Obviously, also the whole live stream, which people can watch, most likely also here on this channel, but mainly on the customers channel. But yeah, also one thing that came back that's also very bullish is conversations with Jack, which he actually started before I started, I think, or around that time. So
It was
that's
right
cool.
around the same time when I met you. Yeah, that was because I might have told this story on here before, but I'll tell it again. It was late 2020, and it was like Christmas Eve. Polkadot went up like 35% or something. And we were like in the middle of shipping IBC. As you mentioned, it wasn't live yet. And it was like, this is bullshit. We've got such better tech and more users over here, and they don't have anything, and their tokens going up. And I was like, someone's got to go tell this story. And that was when I think I had like 800 Twitter followers, and we did Prop 34 and then Prop 46 with Adriana and like and Zachy and all of the other, and Joe Dirte, who now works at Saga. And, it was like, that was how that sort of came to be. It was because of that Polkadot pump.
Nice. And now it's back, right? What is it? Edition 4 or something? 3 or 4?
Yeah,
So
this is the third season. Yeah, I think I've been pretty heads down for a lot of the last year and a half building Strangelove, and making that great. We have a fantastic team. We ship a lot of the most impactful software in the interchain, and we're continuing to kind of accelerate that, which is really exciting. I need to get out there and talk a lot more about what we're doing. So this IBC roadmap is kind of the beginning of that. Conversations with Jack back. We're going to start doing some spaces as Strangelove. I'm happy to come back on here. I'm giving talks more. I went to my first conference in a long time in Paris, and that was my first talk in like a year and a half on stage. So coming back to Cosmoverse again, but I'm going to be out and about a lot more. Folks get a chance to ask me questions and chat about this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you will have a lot of time at Cosmoverse. Also, you guys will have a booth there, so that's also great to engage with the audience.
Oh yeah, a booth.
Also, and I think this is also something like I tweeted this responding to one of your tweets. But honestly, I think that's also what we try to do at CryptoCito, is like branching out a little bit more and reach the non-Cosmos native audience.
Yeah,
because I think we're at a point where there's like a lot of content for the Cosmos community, whether that's on Twitter, on YouTube, or even on events. But I think now it's also time to like branch out, right? And I'm sure you have a lot of friends that are in Polkadot, there are in Solana, there are like Ethereum. So, I would love to see content like that also, talking to Ethereum developers, talking about, optimism or Arbitrum. I think this would be super cool to like learn more about.
Conversations with Jack is always going to be a Cosmos thing, just because like that's the way it started. It doesn't feel right it doesn't feel like a great forum for me to do those things. I think on the spaces that we're going to try to bring in folks from other ecosystems, but that is critical. I strongly agree. One quick question from Panda Pie right before I go, because I do need to run here. I see a lot of potential for the Cosmos Hub, but still my concern is the decentralization of Atom. Why is it so low, the Nakamoto coefficient? Is it something concerning for you? 7 is actually great. It's better than Ethereum. If you look at the Ethereum staking distribution, there's actually fewer entities, especially if you consider Lido to be a single entity, that control a huge chunk of the stake distribution of the bonded stake on Ethereum. So Cosmos compares well. Where it doesn't compare well is to something like Solana, where the Nakamoto efficiency is a little higher. Changes to tokenomics should help, but honestly, I think 7 is great. So
there's also like a part, and I know you have to go, like for the liquid staking module that like incentivizes more decentralization. And I think there's also a part for is it the Atom Alignment Treasury or something that a binary team is working on to promote decentralization. But anyways, maybe this is something we can do in the future with Noam, with David, make an episode on that.
Yeah. And the other thing that, like, when we have that next conversation that is really important when we talk about decentralization is the amount of decentralization that IBC introduces. IBC moves it from where there's one chain where we have to worry so much about the Nakamoto coefficient and the security of an individual chain to a network of chains, each with their own fairly high Nakamoto coefficients. And that is vastly more secure with no single points of failure.
Right.
Whereas when we're talking about that on Ethereum, there is a single point of failure with the Ethereum network. And
right.
with
Or Solana.
IBC, yeah.
Yeah. Or Solana,
Like, look at the downtime that Solana's had.
Yeah,
like that's
exactly.
always been an issue with that chain.
We had Terra going to 0 overnight, and it didn't affect the uptime of other chains. I mean,
Yeah.
it did affect, of course, liquidity on Osmosis, but not the uptime of Atom, Som, Agoric, whatever. Stargaze, right? It's working flawlessly. But anyways, I'm gonna see you latest in 3 weeks. Maybe we can do another episode before that. If not, safe travels. I'll see you in Istanbul.
All right, Cito. Very good to see you. I cannot wait to see you. It's going to be a blast.
Nice.
Give you a big hug. All right.
See you, man. Bye. And we're out.